Roll Tide, everybody. Welcome to the Bama Tailgate postgame show. Chad Anderson and Mick Gillispie. We got a lot to talk about. A dominant performance, got the style points, exactly the type of game I was expecting, and I know that you guys want to talk about that. We'll hear from Coach Saban when he speaks, but first let me ask you guys to do us a solid. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and welcome to the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. All right, he's Chad Anderson. I'm Mick Gillispie. Let's throw it up there, Chad. It was all Alabama today. They scored 21 points. They win the football game 49-21. They kicked their ass from start to finish. The two of the three touchdowns, one was a broken play, and then one was a Kool-Aid punt that he muffed, and they scored on short field after Alabama was up 21-0. And then one was an interception. But Kentucky's a solid football team. Bama's surging right now, and it is obvious.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about early morning sleepwalk and then two defensive players being out. Then we find out right before kickoff that Jermaine Burton is not going to play today. And Mick, Alabama came out, and they did one of those old school elixir type games. And they went right down the field, man. They set the tone. I don't know if I didn't see it. I don't know if they won the toss or if Kentucky won. But the best thing that could have happened today was Alabama getting the ball first, because they came out and literally did one of those old school Alabama, just handoff, quarterback draw, handoff, screen pass, short pass, hit here, hit there. And then Niblack down the middle was wide open. And Alabama just... you could tell they were pissed off. They looked at it as an elimination game, which every game is now for the Crimson Tide, and they were ready. And kudos to Miss Terry, for messing with Nick last Sunday and getting them riled up and getting them ready for Kentucky. Because, like you said, this isn't a bad football team. Is it a East contending top 15, top 20 team? No, but it's just a fundamentally good, decent football team that you got to watch out for every now and then. Ask the Florida Gators, ask the Tennessee Vols, who only went in there and won by 6. They're not a pushover, but Alabama made it seem that way today.
Jalen Milroe, different guy, man. Different guy since wow. I mean, honestly, I can't even believe he's not perfect. But damn, he is good, man, and he's turning the corner with he threw the ball today. He's got a lot to improve on with some of the throws, setting his feet. But he's such a great athlete. He's a leader on this football team. The guys have rallied around him, and all of a sudden you're looking at this team right now, and the offense, which was at the beginning of the year, just don't blow it. Now all of a sudden let's give us the ball.
Yeah. This team is and with Milroe and what he's done, I mean, you can just tell like he's so much more comfortable. Go back and watch the Texas game. Texas, obviously a much better team than Kentucky. And Texas actually has a pretty good defense. But you go back and look at that game, and Milroe was still that deer in headlights. He couldn't work through his progressions. He didn't have confidence. He didn't understand a lot of the coverages that were being displayed by the Longhorns. You look at it today, he looks so comfortable back there in the pocket. The pass, it was in the second half. He hit Prentice for a first down on 3rd and long. He just sat in a perfectly formed pocket, threw it right into the empty zone. And credit, of course, to the offensive line as well, who played a great game today. But Jalen Milroe, what a performance and what a progression from just over 2 months ago, and how much better he looks.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, no doubt about it. Everything that this team's doing right now is things that are going to make them a tough team out. We're waiting on Nick Saban. We're going to take your calls after we hear from Coach. Definitely want to hear what he has to say. And, like these post games, he's pretty fast to the podium. to get things going. But I'll tell you, man, without Burton, who is sick, and without some of the other guys that were hurt on defense, couple receivers out, it didn't matter today. The next guy up is really what this team's all about. And that doesn't surprise me. I mean, we've seen that this year, but, today it was Holden.
Yeah. I just really am appreciative is maybe a good word. Fascinated. It's just a different guy.
Excuse me, Prentice.
Yeah, Prentice. I knew what you meant. But it's just a different guy. Scroll back down and look at some of those stats, though. Look, even though Prentice had 4 for 74, still look at how spread out you have that. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that 10 or 9? Different guys making catches, making plays. We've talked about a lot how Alabama doesn't have the Julio Jones, the Amari Cooper, the Calvin Ridley, the Devontae Smith, the Jalen Waddle.
Right.
But Alabama does have a lot of good wide receivers, above average talent wide receivers who can make plays. There just hasn't been one that's been that elite receiver. But these guys also, they don't really make mistakes, Mick. They make plays. They go up and get the ball. They run good routes. They find creases. They're wide open a lot of times. And it's not that you don't want an Amari Cooper or a Julio on the roster, but these guys do such a good job still of finding some open slots, and Milroe's doing a good job of not locking in on one guy and finding multiple different options each time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's Chad Anderson. I'm Mick Gillispie. Get in the comment section. We're going to take your calls. We're just waiting on Coach Saban right now. Talking about Alabama's win, and a big win it was over Kentucky. A win for the Crimson Tide that has officially put them back in Atlanta. So after missing a year, they're going back most likely to face Georgia. But a dominant 49-21 win today over the Kentucky Wildcats in a game that you felt like it was annoying. I was pretty confident that we would see this. I felt like Vegas is like totally wrong on Alabama, and I think that this changes the perspective. You got when you score this many points against that defense, you at this time of year and the way that they did it, you have to take note. If you're Vegas, you have to take note if you're the college football playoff.
Yeah, you do. Alabama made a statement today, and Jalen Milroe had 6 touchdowns, Mick. 3 through the air, 3 on the ground. 6
it's
touchdowns.
Crazy.
I think Tua is the only other one to have 6 total. I think he had 5 in the air and 1 rushing in a game. So Alabama is definitely put everybody on notice. They had put everybody on notice the way they came back in the second half against Tennessee. The way they played 4 quarters against LSU, especially the second half, and then the way they came out today. We threw it up last night when you were at the Floribama, and we were talking about the Oregon, Texas, Bama resumes and looking at it. And I know Oregon plays USC tonight. There is no damn way you can have Oregon ranked ahead of both of those teams right now. And some of these other games are going to work themselves out. And Alabama's going to have a shot. Hopefully, again, Bama fans, you have to hope Georgia's undefeated. I understand upsets are fun. I understand Lane Kiffin going between the hedges tonight is exciting, and your nature is to pull for Ole Miss as an underdog. But you need to be the biggest Georgia fans ever for the next 3 weeks to make sure that they're number one and undefeated. Because you're potentially getting closer and closer to a major logjam here at the end of the year.
Yeah, and this is something that we really haven't had. I mean, but I think that this is part of the NIL era. I think this is part of the transfer portal, where the teams that are at the top can really go out and fill their holes, and that'll make them they're better football teams than they would be, and you got some complete teams in this mix. Maybe it's just coincidence, but I really feel like that's kind of the case right now.
No, I'm 100% with you, because I look at this. And you're right. If you go back and look, there's a guy I follow on Twitter who's terrific on some of his analytics. His name's Dave Bartu.
Yeah, Dave
Yeah,
Bartu.
yeah, I love following some of his stuff. And what's so interesting about his is he doesn't get into the feel good and the eye test and all this other stuff. Like he is simply, what do the numbers say? What are the analytics? And when he's talking about recruiting, it's so interesting because there used to be a stat where no national champion for like a certain window of time won a national championship without having a top, I want to say 10 recruiting class within that 4 years of winning the national title. Well, now, like you say, Mick, with NIL, this is wide open and the portal. So you got NIL, you got the transfer portal. And so you got all these different things that bring a lot of parity. And that's why you're seeing more and more teams like see Oregon in there. You see Washington as a contender. You see Texas. Are they actually back? Ohio State and Michigan have been hanging around there. Florida State. I'm sorry if I already said them, but you got those different teams that are now competing. And look at what nobody ever thinks of them. Look at what Louisville has done with NIL. Brom came into Louisville this year. This is his first year. He literally lived off the transfer portal.
Right.
Lane Kiffin calls himself the portal king. He's the self-proclaimed portal king.
Right.
And now Ole Miss is a top 10 team. Only lost to Alabama. Louisville only lost this year as a bad one to Pittsburgh, but they've also beaten a couple of teams. So they beat Notre Dame earlier this year. So it's very different, a lot more parity than what we used to see.
Well, the good thing is now you get to sit back and watch the rest of today's football action and, and see what happens. Michigan beat Penn State. No surprise there. That was exactly what we thought. Same thing, same exact Penn State that we always see. They're good enough to be in the talk, but they're not good enough to win, And now if you're Michigan, all of the distractions and you just continue to win, which has been kind of surprising.
Yeah, you do. Michigan played pissed off today. So that's pretty apparent that they're going to have that major chip on their shoulder going for the last 2 weeks of the year. I think they play Maryland next week, which is, not going to be a problem for them. It's a terrible matchup for Maryland. They get Ohio State, of course, in the final week of the season. So that'll obviously be insane with the Buckeyes. But yeah, I mean, you got the controversy, but I don't know. I kind of agree with some other people. Like, how much of an impact is the head coach being on the sideline? For Michigan, it wasn't a problem today. Not that Auburn was that good, but remember Nick Saban during COVID had to sit out, and Sarkisian was the head coach for that game. So not that we want Saban to go anywhere, but
here he comes. Let's throw him up there. Hold on. He's on his way to the microphone right now. So let me see if I can get him on here.
So,
technology. Good. Coach is feeling pretty good about life right now.
So, look, I'm really proud of this team. This team's come a long way. A lot of guys have made significant improvement because they've stayed positive and stayed the course in terms of listening to what the coaches had to say about what they needed to do to improve and actually have really good relationships with each other on this team. So I was really pleased that the team didn't buy into, the rat poison or whatever you want to call it. I thought this was a little bit of a trap game, and I actually asked the players yesterday in the team meeting to stand up and say what they had to do, each position, each leader at each position. And I told them before the game I trusted that they would go out and do that, and that's exactly what they did. So I trust in these guys that they're going to do the right things, make good choices and decisions, which is going to help them continue to grow and develop as a team, and hopefully finish business throughout, the rest of this season in terms of what we have to do to continue to get better and see if we can create an opportunity for ourselves. Obviously, it's great that we won the West and going to have an opportunity to play in the SEC championship game, which I'm very happy for this team. But they were able to accomplish that. I think there's probably very few people after the Texas game or the South Florida game, a lot of, but I've always believed in this team and trusted in this team that they would develop into something that's special, and it has been special. It's been a great experience to see them grow and develop, and the confidence that you need to, play really, really well. I think they were sort of excited about the fact. A couple guys came up to me, and I always talk to them about when we play on the road. If you empty the stadium, that means you really beat the other team. So a couple guys made it. I didn't use that in this game, but they certainly got the message and said, "Hey, coach, look around." So I'm pretty proud of them the way they played today. And obviously, there's some things that we can correct and fix. We made some errors that obviously we busted on the 60-yard run at the end of the game when we put the twos in there. But these are all learning experiences that these guys will have an opportunity to get better at. Jalen played really well. I thought, the offense started the game out and set the tempo of the game extremely well. He played extremely well. The whole idea was the way they play on defense is take what the defense gives, and we nickel-dimed them in the first couple of drives, and then we hit a couple big plays. So thought they did a great job on offense, and great team win for us.
Slide that computer in a little closer. We'll start with Nick. Yeah, you talked about Jalen Mora, but as far as this team's overall resiliency, that he's shown that same quality. How have you seen that from him through the course of the season, the resiliency that Jalen's got?
Well, I guess that's what I was trying to explain, that these guys have had great perseverance, shown great resiliency, been able to, you've heard me say this before, manage hard. Whenever things got hard, they always seem to come up with, we can come back in a game when we're behind 7-6. We can come back in a game when we're behind 20-6. We can make plays when we need to make them. So I think that comes from confidence, but I also think it comes from believing in each other and believing in what you're doing. And coaches have always also done a really good job of selling the players on, hey, if you do it this way, you're going to have success.
Edwin? Coach, here we go.
How important was it for this defense to step up and just shut down the winning team?
Well, I think that was the key to the drill. I mean, controlling the line of scrimmage in this game against this type of team who prides himself in being a physical team, I think was, like our number one objective. And I think we wanted to make them one-dimensional. I think we did, except for the last run where we didn't have any run support on that side. But, I think it was really important that we went on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
We'll stay on that side with Chris Lowe. Hey, Nick, what's the challenge been like for you to get this team to where they were, Texas, South Florida, where they are now? You've had a lot of challenges.
Yeah, but, it's been fun. It really has been fun to see. I think that, it seems like every team we've had in recent years, there's these huge expectations. And you never want the expectations to impact you. But because there were such high expectations, it was almost like you were relieved, to get the players to be where they needed to be so they could have success. With this team, I didn't have those kind of expectations. I knew we could be good. I believed in them, but I knew it was going to be a work in progress. So it was like every day you're just trying to teach lessons that will help them grow and develop. And they've done a great job of that, and it's been fun. And I didn't put any expectations on them or myself, and they've, sort of blowing it out of the water in terms of how well they've done.
And back to Mike.
Stuff with Kool-Aid after the ball. He had a big return in the third quarter, so the touchdown as well. The decision to
Stay with them? What do you mean, stay with them? What would you do with them? I mean, I love the guy. He's a good returner. Look, the gunner on that side ran into him when he missed the punt. All right, that's the gunner's responsibility. You know, you can't look up and catch a ball and worry about somebody that's running down the field blocking for you, running into you. So he tried to fair catch the ball. I got every confidence in the world. He's been a good player for us, and I just think the players around him have to do a little bit better job because, you know, when you get these radical punts, I'm going to call them, you know, you don't get like easy balls to field. You got to cover a lot of ground to catch it, and that launch point of where he's catching it changes for the people that are blocking for him. So I'm not making excuses for anybody, but you can't blame him for that one, in my opinion. And I think that, you know, he did a great job of sticking it up the middle. We ran mostly middle returns today, so, and it was good to see us get one off to a big play.
Right next to him, Nick.
What does it say about this team that despite the injuries, guys are coming in, filling their roles well? And then secondly, any update on the guys who are even playing?
Yeah, well, you know, we had more guys out today than probably ever before, you know, with Corey Brooks and Jermaine Burton. Jermaine is just sick. I mean, he was so sick, you know, couldn't even make the trip. And hopefully, you know, he'll get better, and that won't be a long-term thing. Jacory's got a shoulder. Jalen Key, everybody knows he's got a thigh injury. It'll be day-to-day again this week. Same thing with Lawson. So we'll just have to, you know, see how it goes. But I was really pleased with the way the guys that filled in today and took their place, and we had to shift guys around in the secondary. But I thought Trez Marshall, who has been hurt himself, did a good job today, and so did Jihad. So those guys got some valuable experience, and that's going to help us down the road, I think.
Coach Saban was kind of going in and out. We'll see if we can reconnect. It's that internet down in Kentucky, Chad.
Yeah. The hamster fell off the wheel.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're down deep in the heart of Kentucky there. And hopefully, so you know, it's not going to be much longer anyway. So let's talk about some of the things that Nick Saban had to say. And again, get in those comment sections. And I had to tell you, man, this Auburn game is going to be, I think this Auburn game is going to be a lot of fun. I think this is the year where Alabama goes in there and just plows them.
I hope you're right, because there's nothing I hate more than going to what I call either the House of Horrors or the Haunted Mansion. It sucks. There's nothing fun. There is zero fun about going down there to Auburn. And it just, there's just always something, Mick. There's always some bullshit that just happens like all the time down there.
I think we're going to be all right. All right, let's pop Saban back on and see if we got a better, cleaner feed here.
I got every confidence in the world. He's been a good player for us, and
back talking about.
I just think the players around him have to do a little bit better job because, you know, when you get these radical punts, I'm going to call them, you know, you don't get like easy balls to field. You got to cover a lot of ground to catch it, and that launch point of where he's catching it changes for the people that are blocking for him. So I'm not making excuses for anybody, but you can't blame him for that one, in my opinion. And I think that, you know, he did a great job of sticking it up the middle. We ran mostly middle returns today, so, and it was good to see us get one off to a big play.
Right next to him, Nick.
What does it say about this team that despite the injuries, guys are coming in, filling their roles well? And then secondly, any update on the guys who are even playing?
Yeah, well, you know, we had more guys out today than probably ever before, you know, with Corey Brooks and Jermaine Burton. Jermaine is just sick. I mean, he was so sick, you know, couldn't even make the trip. and hopefully, he'll get better, and that won't be a long-term thing. Jacory's got a shoulder. Jalen Key, everybody knows he's got a thigh injury. It'll be day-to-day again this week. Same thing with Lawson. So we'll just have to, see how it goes. But I was really pleased with the way the guys that filled in today and took their place, and we had to shift guys around in the secondary. But I thought Trez Marshall, who has been hurt himself, did a good job today, and so did Jihad. So those guys got some valuable experience, and that's going to help us down the road, I think.
It's
Yeah,
that part of the feed.
It's the feed. It's not my internet or your internet, which is I guess thankful there. But so I think we heard enough. I mean, I got to tell you, comment section, roll tide, everybody. I mean, this you can tell that he said it. He's having a fun year. Why not? You know?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Why not? I mean, it's because he's having fun.
Yeah. I was telling a couple of people, just a couple of friends that I have who, they've, like a lot of people, have been very pissed off or annoyed at kind of how the season started. Mick, this has developed into one of my favorite teams of all time. And I think a lot of it is just because of we don't get to play the underdog role very often as Alabama. And obviously at 9-1 and kicking people's ass like they did today and like they did last week in the second half and Tennessee in the second half, not going to really be the underdog anymore. I think Georgia's scared as hell, to be honest, to play this team. I've got a couple of friends who are Georgia fans, and they've actually admitted it. They said, I want nothing to do with Alabama, which now they have no choice unless they're going to lose tonight against Tennessee. But the thing with this team, man, it's just like, we were talking about it just a minute ago before Nick Saban came on, and there's no like superstar standout. As good as Milroe has become, he wasn't Tua. He wasn't Mac Jones. He wasn't Bryce Young. We don't have Amari Cooper, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith. We don't have Najee Harris. I mean, the backs have been pretty good this year, but they haven't been Najee. They haven't been Brian Robinson. They haven't been Derrick Henry. They haven't been Mark Ingram. Like, this team is a bunch of really talented guys that doesn't consist of one superstar, yet they come out and they just fundamentally are starting to whip people's ass.
Yeah.
And that's the part I love about this team is they're not relying on one guy. They do it as a unit. And that's what's so much fun to watch.
Let's talk about some of the stats from this game. Milroe, he got hit. Were you concerned about that hit? 12 of 22 passing, 234 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. The interception, don't do too much. Just throw it away. And Saban talked about that after the game. Just throw it away. And then running the ball, another great week. 8 carries, 36 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He's like Jalen Hurts in the NFL. You get him close to the goal line, and you're just not stopping him. And all of a sudden now, I mean, he's put up back-to-back weeks against LSU and Kentucky that are as good as Tua, as good as Mac Jones, as good as Jalen Hurts. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah, 6 touchdowns is nuts. Never would have thought. Think about this. He's had 7 rushing touchdowns in 2 games. 7 rushing touchdowns in 2 games for Jalen Milroe. It's simply remarkable, but the one thing on the passing today, he came out hot. Remember, he started 7 of 7 and actually kind of fizzled a little bit. He was 5 of his next 15. But he only made one really bad play, and that was the turnover where he threw back across his body. And he ended 15 of 22. So he was 8 for his next 15, but started 7 of 7.
Got hot again.
He did. So 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. 234 through the air. I like how he spread it around. He had 9 or 10 different players who had a reception. I actually wasn't worried about him on the injury. On the replay, it was pretty evident that it was just a helmet to the thigh, just the dead leg. And I haven't had it when 200 and whatever pound defensive player is running at me full speed with his head lowered and popping me in the thigh. But you've had it, Mick, where a friend of yours or something walks up and, pops you in the side of the leg and gives you the dead leg. So multiply that by 10, and that's probably what it felt like at minimum. So I wasn't too worried, though.
We used to call him getting frogged.
Frogged? Yeah, I've heard frogged before. But, yeah, the old dead leg. So just watching the replay, I wasn't concerned about it. Those turf fields, though, make me nervous. Because remember, that's how Mechie and Jamison Williams both went down with ACLs at the end of 2021, playing in Atlanta and then in Indianapolis. Those turf fields, and the NFL complains about that a lot as well. Players really don't like the turf. So those things always scare me. Bama doesn't have turf again until the SEC title. But no, I was, you're always holding your breath when you see him laying there. But once I saw the replay, I figured he was good. Yeah.
You think that's obviously they didn't really want him running the ball much anymore, but I still think he's a different player since the Tennessee game as far as his ability to run the ball.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's obvious. Something was wrong, hamstring, whatever, back late September, early October. But yeah, he's a different guy now. You can tell when he hits that accelerator, he's gone. You can't have him.
Thank you for calling Collins Studios host and call screener.
The phone lines.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear
okay,
that.
just making sure.
You guys, I got to get the thing got disconnected, so I got to get it reconnected.
You're good. I love that Divine Blood one here is calling for me to start drinking again, which
I'm with you on that one.
And he's calling for a car bomb. If I had a car bomb, there would be a bomb inside of me. It would not be good. I would pass out probably within seconds.
You would love it.
I can't think of anything that sounds worse right now than actually taking a shot. I see people still shooting fireball all the time. Oh my God. I can't even imagine. That's what we used to call antifreeze back in the day.
Really?
Some of the other comments, we love them, by the way. Keep them coming. Hit the like and subscribe button. I'm glad Divine is also so convinced that we're going to do a lot of dirty things to Auburn down on the plains. I still get very nervous about it. Mamba UGA fans are scared now. I agree with that. Not that Georgia necessarily should be scared as far as they're going to be an underdog, but they know that that's going to be a very realistic shot of having their win streak knocked off if it doesn't happen either tonight or next week up at Neyland Stadium. Game of the year for the SEC championship. Agree. Iceman, Oklahoma State. We just need Texas to lose to whoever they're going to play in the Big 12 championship.
You're not, and I got the phone lines up now. You're not as confident as you were when Robert from Mobile was the first guy to call up and say, "Hey, we could use some style points."
No, I'm still confident in that.
But now we certainly could use some style points. But you know what? I mean, you just got it. We're getting them. This team's winning. All right, let's go to the phone lines. I know you guys have been patiently waiting, and you guys can chime in on this conversation, and we'll talk Alabama football. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, Nick, it's Iceman.
Ice, what's up, brother?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. It's a great Veterans Day for me to see Alabama roll like that, and I'm sitting here at work, so I'll keep the phone call short. I just wanted to say that, for one, I agree with Chad, what he was saying about this Auburn team. They're a very physical team. And Jarquez Hunter, if it's one running back in the SEC right now that would give us real fits, I think it'd be that guy. But let's not look too far ahead. Yeah, I saw that hit on Jalen Milroe, and holy cow, it looked like it hurt. He definitely slowed down today. But I hope that, we can get him off the field early next week so that we can get Ty Simpson in there. And I think that's going to be important because the reality is when you got a dual threat quarterback like Jalen Milroe, he's going to lower his shoulder. He's going to take some hits. And he might not be as mobile as he was at the start of the game. And you never know when something bad could happen. I hope that never does. But he's taking more hits than your average quarterback is. And we're going to need the next guy up in case if anything ever does happen. God forbid that it does.
Yeah, right.
And I just want you guys chew on that for a little bit and hear your thoughts.
Hey, Iceman, roll tide, brother. What are you doing for work?
Yeah, I'm at a gate over at the Kennedy Space Center. I'm just processing people in. I'm law enforcement out here for NASA. So it's kind of a cool job. I get to watch rocket launches and all that stuff.
That is awesome.
Got one going on tomorrow.
I collect license plates for the outside of my my deck out here. I saw that Florida had these like Space Shuttle Challenger license plates. If you come across one of those, man, hook me up.
Oh, absolutely, man. The sad thing is I found out that Auburn actually has a really good engineering program, and there is a heck ton of them out here.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I see all these Auburn fans coming through, and I have to just constantly say roll tide to let them know that, we're the dominant team,
Let little brother know.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, I welcome them.
Yeah,
I was going to tell you the other thing is I forgot about this last week is I was doing a rover on the SLF. This is where they land the shuttle whenever it comes back in. It's actually really cool. It's this long runway. And I saw this guy walking because they're doing some kind of event, and he had a purple shirt on. And I was like, that's a very unique shade of purple. And there's a little yellow trimming along it. And he turned around and he looked at me. And it said LSU on it. So I stopped by and I said, hey, man, I'm going to write you a ticket. And he goes, what? And I said, roll tide.
How did he like that?
We all thought it was funny.
Yeah.
He liked that. And I think he thought about me whenever we beat the crap out of them later. So I was pretty happy with that.
Been some good football the last few games, huh?
It really has been. Last week I said don't be surprised if you see Jalen Milroe in the Heisman talk.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he should be the Heisman, but
you're right.
They're
talking about him.
Pat McAfee was the one who started it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was on game day. He said that the tide is going to roll and Jalen Milroe will be in the conversation. And right now he is making a case for it. If it was me, I mean, I still think Jaden Daniels would be a good Heisman choice. I'm more of the kind of guy who actually likes to see a non-quarterback get it.
Right.
I honestly think Brock Bowers should get it. And then Brock Bowers should go and get drafted to Carolina Panthers to help our Heisman quarterback out.
Right. Well, he's hurt now, but when he was healthy, he was damn good. So.
He was. He really was a game changer on the field. And, I do hope that we get him in the SEC championship to really make a case to the committee that Alabama is a top 4 team and deserves a spot in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's another thing that we got to talk about too. I think we don't only need Georgia to be undefeated, but we probably do need Brock Bowers in there to say, hey, we not only got an undefeated Georgia, but we got Georgia at their best with their Heisman front runner tight end.
Yeah. That's true, man. We're going to beat them at their best.
All right.
And that's when the Heisman talk's really going to heat up. Hey, Iceman, thanks, brother. Thanks for calling in and have a great day.
All right, roll tide, y'all.
Roll tide. Great to hear from you. All right, let's go right back to the phones again and get back at it. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, it's Brett.
There he is. Brett.
There he is.
Walker County. What's up, brother?
Let Iceman get back to his job. I did not know this guy's working security for NASA, and he's sitting here talking sports with you guys. I'm like, wow, this guy's working security at NASA. And roll tide to him.
Yeah.
And now would be a good time to get on the I checked the odds. Milrow's like a plus 4,000 to win the Heisman.
Right.
Just go ahead and put a little money on it.
Pizza.
Just in case.
I had a Shaq-a-roni.
You never know. There you go.
Does everybody love Shaq as much as I do?
I do.
It's because he's so funny on the NBA show. Like I'll buy your Shaq-a-roni. Him and Charles Barkley. They're the two best commentators in sports.
Oh yeah. To see them banter back and forth is a lot of fun. But great win today. I enjoyed the ball game. I guess one of the things, we're getting better every week, obviously, but I don't think we've discussed it, or maybe we have, maybe we haven't. Milrow has improved a lot. The offensive line has improved a lot, but probably the biggest improvement is going to be Tommy Rees.
Yes.
And you heard the story during the broadcast today of, and this goes back to Coach Saban too. We talked about maybe this is one of Coach Saban's best coaching jobs. But when we got off to this quote unquote rocky start, even though we've only lost one ball game, I kind of think we're spoiled. But I think he sat down and said, "Hey, look, you got to fix this." And he got with Milrow. What are you comfortable with? What are you not comfortable with? And things have been clicking on all cylinders, and they're getting better and better. Next week, it's Cupcake Week. Before we go to the Iron Bowl and the SEC Championship, but I have to give a lot of kudos to Tommy Rees.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I mean, I had that in my notes today. I got so damn pissed off at Bill O'Brien last year for the lack of creativity in some of those football games, LSU being one. And this guy he's changing the look every play. You don't know what's going on. They're shifting. The RPO game has been great. I got to tell you, man, the offensive line's gotten a lot better too. They
have gotten a lot better.
They absolutely kicked the crap out of Kentucky up front today. You got to know that after as bad as they were at the beginning of the year.
They gave up. I thought they gave up 3 sacks. Did they give up 3 sacks, or am I thinking of Kentucky? Nonetheless, I don't know how many sacks we gave up, but no, they've gotten a whole lot better. But the defense, they have so many players out on both sides of the ball. And Coach Saban at his press conference was talking about maybe this is the most players we've had out for one game in quite some time. But both sides of the ball did not miss a beat. And you look at Kentucky's total yardage, 253 total yards. On the ground, they rushed for 95 yards, but, the bulk of that came from that 73-yard run that Jefferson made there in the fourth quarter on the busted coverage.
Right.
They weren't going anywhere. Davis, rushed 12 times for 26 yards and a couple of touchdowns. 12 times, 26 yards, that's like 2 yards a carry.
Yeah. And the defense adjusted again today too, Brett.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and they just keep on doing that. They just keep on adjusting.
Right. So you always hear that old term. You got to peak at the right time, and where I think we're peaking, and I don't even think we've hit the top yet.
Nuh-uh.
The thing is, next week, obviously the key is, of course, it's Chattanooga, and the key is staying healthy. Don't get anybody hurt. Let your ones play a little bit. And then I thought Simpson came in and played a great fourth quarter.
Which was good.
He looked
to see.
pretty sharp.
That was good to see.
Right. And and we'll see a lot more of him probably next week.
Yeah.
Which we need to see.
Yeah, which bring him on. Let him get the experience. Let Milroe rest and get ready for Auburn. Because that's the game.
That's the game, and then we've got basically two big ones left.
Yep.
And then we'll see where we go from there. You know.
Yeah. Well,
it's gonna be a damn shame though if Alabama wins out and does not make the playoffs.
They need more wins like this. They need more wins like this.
They need to. And you were talking about style points, and you guys were. You got style points today. This 21 points Kentucky scored. That's not very indicative of how this game went.
No, they were lucky to get. They really should have scored none.
Right. I mean, not. That's very deceiving. But if we can go throttle Auburn on the road, we always have a difficult time playing there at Jordan Hare. But if we could go down there and throttle them, and then make a good showing in the SEC title game, I don't see how you can keep a one-loss Alabama out of the playoff.
Yeah, great points, Brett. Great to hear from you, brother. Anything else? We're going to chew on what you said and get to the next caller. But
yeah, man, just roll tide, guys. Doing a great job, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, great to hear from you, Brett.
Roll tide.
Always great to hear from Brett calling in Jasper. But it's same thing, man. I mean, the graphic was wrong. I mean, we shorted Alabama 7 points, and thank you guys for pointing that out. And it's crazy, 49-21. I mean, this is the kind of win Alabama needed. This is the kind of style points win that the Tide really needed in this game. Let's go back to the phone lines again and talk more about this game. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, guys, this is Robert from Mobile.
Robert from Mobile. Did you get your style points today?
Yeah, and I agree with you. Kentucky shouldn't have scored. If Alabama plays completely clean, no mistakes, they don't score. And every score they got was off of a miscue. Some big play here, where that was the penalty that they had on third and whatever, and Kentucky would have punted, but there's a first down. They keep the drive alive for Kentucky. And of course, the first one was the muff punt by Kool-Aid McKinstry. I don't think Nick Saban wants to try not to blame him, but it's which we know that's Saban's style. He's not going to.
Yeah, I didn't agree with him on that. He blamed it on the guy that was blocking in front of him. I mean, how is that guy's? It's not that guy's fault. Come on, coach.
Yeah. Well, he's got to keep a superstar ahead in the game, so he can't show that he's doubts somebody. Yeah, no, that was not. No, cool. You missed it. I'm sorry. And you've been missing like quite a few.
Oh, it's
so
every time you kick it to him, you're worried about it.
Yeah, we used to worry, we're going to take it to the house. Now we worry, hey, will you just please catch it? You don't have to go and take a step.
I don't think he wants to do it anymore, Robert. I don't think he wants to do it.
And that's something the special teams coach needs to start to realize. Okay, right. Let's get somebody else. All the players on the team.
Yeah.
Just got to catch it, nothing else.
They do kick away from him, though, you can tell. I mean, and he did have a nice return today. When he was out there.
Yes, he did. That was.
He did get that last one.
They helped us up. They helped us up for the last touchdown, I believe.
Yeah, I felt like they were looking for the style points today.
Oh, there's no question. And because it's just starting to turn into a beauty contest, and I get it's really between us and Oregon that if it comes down there, because we're looking for Oregon. Right now we need Oregon to beat Washington, and then we need it turns to a beauty contest between us and Oregon. And so that's where it will be, because it looks like Oregon's not gonna lose twice. And I don't think Washington's gonna lose once, at least not until they play Oregon,
right,
who I fully believe will win. But I'm still holding out that Florida will do us a solid against Florida State and get that banner for the SEC. But yes, everything you guys said about Milroe and the offense, I mean, it's just night and day. I kind of wonder, and I thought, and Ty Simpson as well. He looked really good, and I kind of wonder. Okay, USF defense is not better than Kentucky, but we couldn't do anything against USF defense. Was Ty Simpson and Buckner being kind of sabotaged by the team because they wanted Milroe, and it was like, all right, we're not gonna lose this game, but you guys aren't gonna look good either. so because we want our guy back in there, it kind of makes you wonder.
Yeah,
it was night and day for Ty Simpson today.
Yeah, that was what the rumor was, but man, I don't know if that's true. I mean, this is such a different team now. They've been through so much. They've figured so many things out together as a unit. I just feel like this team has come into its own, and they're just not the same group of guys that they were at the beginning of the year. They've grown together, and the offensive line's better, and the receivers are better, and the running backs are better, and the defense makes adjustments, and it's more confident.
Yeah.
And they don't have that superstar mentality. They're workers, like they're out there. And I think that's why Saban likes them, because they're paying attention.
Yeah.
They're getting yelled at and they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm going to listen to what the guy's saying. That's what's going to keep him doing this job longer. You know what I mean? Like if he feels like they're listening and the kids are getting something out of him, you go back to when Bo Scarborough was screaming at the kids to pay attention, the players. Listen to what this man's telling you. And you can tell that's happened. And there's going to be guys that are going to make a lot of money because of that.
Again, Teron Arnold, who is one among them. He's turned into one of my favorite players on the team now after getting that chewing out of his attitude towards it. I mean, he's one of my favorite players.
Me too.
Now. You're absolutely right about this. Nick Saban, he's among other things, is a teacher. He loves teaching. With the subject he's expert at is football. So he loves teaching football.
Right.
And he's getting a lot of opportunities to do that, teach football. Because, there's a lot of players, they got natural talent, but they're still a work in progress. And it's getting that out of him it's been fun for him.
Yeah.
And he's starting to see the results of it. And it's getting more fun for him and for us. Because Miller, again, he's totally different now. It's a wonderful thing to see. Still, a few things can be cleaned up. I still need you to hit that running back out of the backfield.
Yeah, right.
When he's wide open, and and those kind of things. But again, the running and his running ability, and he's learned to cultivate that into an almost unstoppable style.
Yeah.
And because it takes some, and that's what we've been needing. Okay, you're the fastest player on the team, but okay, the instinct when to take off, the instinct of when to stay in the pocket and throw it. That was just spot on today. With a few minor errors, that was really fantastic. And again, this style can beat anybody.
No, I know.
Anybody.
You can't defend it. Did you like to play? Did you guys like to play that fake and then the throw to C.J. Dupree down the middle of the field? That to me was one of the biggest plays in the football game, because that play changed the momentum back after we blew it with the turnover and everything else. And from that point on, it was a drumming. They never looked back after that play to me.
Absolutely. It was, it was the first quarter, which, and realize, I think if I'm not wrong, that first drive was the first possession touchdown we've had since the beginning of the season. First game of the season. It's been kind of a drought in that situation. I knew when we drove down the field and got that first touchdown, it's on now.
Yeah.
The route's about to start. Okay, this is not a slow start. I think this is the most complete team, the game that we played. And it's been a while since I've seen Alabama empty a stadium, the opposing team stadium.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I don't think we did it at all last year.
No.
No,
we didn't.
To see that empty stadium?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. It was 2020 all over again. Yeah, okay, goodbye. You lost. Okay, we scored our first touchdown. You might as well leave now.
Yeah.
That's how 2020. It was 2020 all over again. Watch it then.
Yeah.
I don't think we did it at all last year.
No, we were
That was a
talking about
great
that
thing
last night. I feel like Vegas is on the wrong end of Alabama. You know, they were kind of like on the wrong end when they kept picking Alabama to win by like 21 points. And, you know, and they weren't doing – you could tell that there was an issue with that team the 2 years ago and then last year on the road. And then this year going into this game, I'm looking at that line at 10.5 in some places, 11. And I'm thinking this is a joke. Like we talked about it last night. Like I didn't expect this to be anything but what it was. I'm surprised, honestly, that they scored any points at all because everything they did, Alabama had an answer for. You know, they just fell into a couple of possessions, and Alabama's not perfect. You know, if they were, it would have been a shutout in this game. But Vegas had this all wrong. This one should have been 21, 22, 23 points. And I think they'll make the adjustment. Although I don't know, because I think Alabama's going to go to Auburn, and they're going to do the same damn thing to Auburn. I just think it's going to happen.
I totally agree.
I see it coming.
I totally agree.
They're a ball rolling down a hill now. You know, like they didn't peak too early. This is a team that's had to figure it out together as a unit. And now that they have, these teams aren't good. Auburn's not good. You know, they're just not good.
No.
Like they're going to have trouble figuring out ways to score. Their defense is okay, but Alabama's defense is going to shut them down, and Alabama's going to move the ball on them. And if Alabama doesn't turn it over 4 times, it's going to be the same type of game. Then we're going to get into that game against Georgia, and I can't wait to get there. But obviously, we got Chattanooga next week, and then the Iron Bowl. So you don't want to look ahead. You just want everyone to stay healthy and the team to just keep getting better. Get better at not jumping off sides, keep better at not making penalties, being in the right spot. They didn't have their best receiver, Burton, today. They didn't have Ja'Cory Brooks today. It didn't even matter. You know, Prentice just stepped up. Hale stepped up. You know what I mean? Like it's the next guy. Even Roydell Williams made a great catch out of the backfield. And Nye Black and Dupree made plays when the ball was thrown at them. There's a lot of guys making plays right now.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree with you with Auburn. Okay, we're finally going to give you a good beat down in Jordan Hare. It's been a long time coming. And you've managed to keep it close in Jordan Hare a few times more than you should have. But the beat down is coming soon. Hopefully, I fully expect Ty Simpson to play the vast majority of the next game, probably 3 quarters.
Right.
And get himself healthy and get himself primed and ready to, if we need him. So he does. And I look for him to get some reps in that Auburn, in that Iron Bowl,
That'd be great.
In the 4th quarter. So I absolutely agree. All right, guys. Great talking with you.
Hey, always great hearing from you, Robert from Mobile. Roll Tide, man. Long-time caller and one of the All-Americans that swung over here with us when we started our own thing. And I'll hear Robert on other shows too, but great point. I still am taking his style points comment very seriously, Chad, as we move forward. And I love your confidence, but the math, if every team keeps on winning, the math is going to be really tight. The fact that Texas beat Alabama, even though Bama's played the better schedule, they're obviously a different team now than then. That's a tough case to argue.
You're not getting in over Texas. You're not getting in over Texas.
So you're saying you're getting in over Washington. You need Washington to lose then, or Florida State.
But that's my whole point, is that the style points aren't going to do anything. If Florida State's undefeated, they're in. If Michigan's undefeated, they're in. If Washington's undefeated, they're in. And if Texas has 1 loss, they're in. So that's all I mean, is that you can do style points all you want, but if those 4 things happen, you're screwed.
Well, if it comes down to this, though, if Washington loses and it's Oregon, style points are going to matter, because then you're weighing Alabama against Oregon, and it's going to be close there too. This type of win,
it'll be close.
This type of win helps out a lot, because people that watch, they're like, well, it was an 11-point spread, and Alabama just beat them up and down the field. It was the bluegrass blowout.
The reason I'm just not that worried with Oregon is you get to the final week of the year, and if it's Bama, Oregon, Bama's win is going to be over number 1 Georgia.
Right.
The only thing I've said is that I do want Georgia to be undefeated in number 1.
That hurts us if they lose tonight. They trip up.
That's been my biggest thing. But if the way it sits right now, then I'm not worried about it, because I think Bama winning against Georgia, it will have been at that point 29 straight wins for Georgia. 2-time defending champion.
I know you're right. You're right. That's a tiebreaker against the Pac-12.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm not saying that it's impossible for Alabama to get around Texas if they went out and Texas wins out. That's where I think that there is a scenario where that could happen. Beating Georgia is one of them. Rolling into the postseason and kicking people's ass, you just got to you got to prove that you're the better team. And I think the fact that if Alabama and Texas played right now, Bama would be favored. All right, Chad, I make notes every game. I'm going to run through these notes, and you jump in on stuff if you want to talk about it. Okay. Milroe, and I started in the beginning of the game and just kind of go down. Milroe starts hot. It's great to see. And like Robert mentioned, that was like the first time that I think Alabama has scored a touchdown in the opening possession in a while. So that was great.
That was the elixir drive.
That was the elixir, right? The medicine, the old-fashioned medicine.
That's it.
Milroe hit on the leg running. Scary, right? That's a Charlie horse hit, but it still hurts like hell.
It does.
And so then 21-0, Kool-Aid fumbles punt. I'm not going to tell you what I text Chad, but I'm going to tell you, Chad, the exact same thing I text you. Ryan Anderson text me. So we're all kind of thinking the same thing. Okay.
All right. I do think on that
set up their touchdown.
It did. That was more annoying than anything because of how in control Alabama was. 2 touchdowns plus a Caleb Downs recovered fumble on the doorstep, go up 21-0. Like the only momentum they had was the muff punt, and then they score on it. Or to pick up the drive and score.
Well, they're not they're not a bad team. We're just a really good team.
Yeah.
Okay. And if they were in the ACC, they'd be probably right there with anybody in that conference. Maybe not Florida State, but the rest of them. Long first quarter. Did it seem like that first quarter took forever?
The whole game took forever, to be honest. Yeah.
Right.
But that's what happens when you score 70 points.
So it was 21-7. Don't force it, I put. And that was like, Milroe trying to force balls. It just felt like, hey, you got this, just be patient and throw it away. You don't have to throw across your body. Like Saban said, when they're dropping 8 guys back, you got to throw it away if it's not there. Yeah. He's a playmaker and he wants to make plays. 28-7. Mistakes lead the second touchdown. And I'm guessing the mistake is that we had him 3rd and long and we sacked him, and then we hit him upside the head. And I was kind of felt bad for the defense, because when you're blowing through their line like Alabama did today, I mean, they ran through those guys like they weren't even there. You get 3 guys coming at the quarterback at the same time, and the guy can't move. You're just trying to find a place to get in there and get him.
Yeah, defense was nasty today.
Yeah, defense was nasty. 28-14. You remember that's as close as it got. And then after that, I wrote, love the creativity. Love that option play. Remember the one where Milroe's running out and then he optioned the ball? It's like, look, I know it only got like 2 or 3 yards or maybe less than that, but it's the look of, here's something else that we can do.
Right. Well, it's also just game tape for the next opponent to have to worry about.
Yeah, that's something else to look at. Yeah. Chase hitting it hard. Thought that he did a good job of like reading the holes today, hitting them when they were there, protecting the football. All the running backs have done a good job of that. And taking advantage of what the defense is giving. You know, if it's only 2 or 3 yards, that's all right. Don't try to do too much and turn the ball over or get hurt. I thought he really hit the holes hard today.
Yeah. And looking at it too, nobody had an amazing individual rushing attack today other than Milroe, who had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But you had 3, well, if you count Ty Simpson, but I won't. But the top 3 ball carriers today, McClellan, Milroe, and Haynes, all averaged 4.5 yards per carry. So when you did get a touch today, it was significant. Alabama's offensive line was doing a nice job.
Adam says, hey, Mick, dominating game, but I'm still worried about Georgia. You live in Georgia, and that's why you're worried about it. They're a good team, but they look at the odds now. The odds are that Alabama's getting into the playoff, and those guys aren't. Bama's going to be ready for them. Bama's the elixir to Georgia, and eventually they're going to lose. I mean, those winning streaks don't go on forever. They're going to lose to the same team that beat them last time. Lilla Gray Allen, hey, thank you for the super chat. Love all of you guys that hit the super chats up. Have a victory beer. Roll, motherfucking Tide. RMFT. And these are available, by the way. Our friend that owns Innisfree has the RMFT store. It's rmft.com/store. I should probably be getting a portion of the sales because you guys love this hat, and I've been running around and showing it off. But Lila says UGA be on notice. I agree. We're getting better and better every week, and the doubters are feeding us. I love it. I love it too, and I think you're right. Thank you again. Final thought for me in the game. Milroe isn't perfect, but damn, he's fun. And the defense dominant again in the second half.
Yeah, Milroe, it's just the idea that he can beat you with his legs. Was it the second? It was the second touchdown of the game where he hit Prentice. Prentice was wide open in the near corner. And the reason he was so open is because Milroe got out of the pocket, rolled right, took 2 steps forward towards the line of scrimmage, which caused 2, maybe 3 defenders, depending on, I didn't see the exact tape, but 2 or 3 defenders stepping up, which allowed Prentice to sneak off by himself and be that wide open. And when Milroe and the way he ran last week against LSU with 4 touchdowns, the way he had 3 touchdowns today, another 1 or 2 plays, 3 plays called by Tommy Rees for Milroe as designed quarterback runs. Just having both of those weapons now, his arm and his legs, it's going to create a lot of havoc. And I also, we didn't talk about this. I love Joe Tessitore on a game. Like, I think he's so much fun. It
was a fun game. It was.
Yeah, he's so dramatic, and he's right. He's like, he wouldn't stop. Jalen Milroe is rolling. Yeah, and he's loving it, and he's living up to what a lot of naysayers were talking about. That's where you get the lank terminology you see on Twitter. Yeah, but yeah, terrific job by Milroe, and really all of the offense and the defense today. It was a complete game.
Adam, roll Tide, brother. Roll Tide. Look at that $25 super chat. Chad and Mick, if you're planning against us, what would you do to stop Milroe and score against the defense? That is a great question. And he's asking that from a guy who lives in Georgia, and he's going to have to deal with all of those Georgia fans, which you love the term annoying, Chad. And that's where I put Georgia fans, annoying. But they have won back-to-back. They have won back-to-back championships. I did think it was funny, Pat McAfee doing their chant today on the air for game day, which is a show that, like, I'm not a big fan of, but I don't know. It's, it's just one of those things. The game was coming on right after it, so I was there. Yeah. If I was trying to stop Milroe, I would keep him in the pocket. Make him throw the ball, and play that deep zone that LSU played.
Yeah, 100% with you. 100%. Like that's it. If I'm Georgia, and we'll just say, and Auburn, I rush 4. I put 2 spies on Milroe, and I let my secondary just simply play man and get out there on the islands. Because if Milroe gets loose, 1, he's so fast, you can't stop him. But 2, did you notice, Mick? Like today, he hit Prentice on the run.
Yeah.
The one I was just talking about.
Yep.
He also flipped a perfect touch pass over the top of a defender to hit Roydell Williams, who then created a touchdown run down the sidelines.
Yeah.
And that's where he's so dangerous. And if he's able to start hitting people on the run like that, look out, man. So I'm with you. Keep him in the pocket, 2 spies, and let the secondary do their thing. And if you get beat, you get beat.
Right. Or if somebody makes a mistake and he runs over them or runs around that, you're in trouble. That'd be on offense. On defense, you got to have a mobile quarterback. You got to have a mobile quarterback that can run the ball, because Bama takes your running game away. That's something that they've always done.
Yeah.
And so you've got to be able to generate the run, and you got to have somebody that can throw with a lot of accuracy. Honestly, as much as I hate to say it, Bo Nix is not a guy that would match up well with our defense to me.
Yeah, Bo Nix would be annoying.
He's been good this year at doing both of those things.
Well, Dan Lanning's a good coach. Oregon has athletes, so that would be annoying. But I also think that Alabama matches up so well with Georgia, because Carson Beck doesn't, strike me as the guy that's going to beat you with the feet. He's not the mobile guy. He has progressed and definitely evolved throughout the course of this year, but I just think Alabama matches up so well with them because of who Carson Beck is as a passer. And then Georgia relies on that run game.
Yeah. And look, Sam was like, at a question like that, he was like, is Adam a Georgia fan? No, Adam calls into the show every week. He lives in the middle of it, Sam. And he is worried about what work and life are going to be like if we go to Atlanta and lay an egg like we did in that championship game in the fourth quarter.
I think Sam's got some trolling going on.
Yeah, I think Sam may be one. So now what do we do? We got 2 weeks. And this is going to be this is always the hardest week of the season. You know that?
Yeah. It's the most boring week of the season.
Yeah. Because if any of us make a comment about the Iron Bowl, Nick Saban is going to chew us out because we got Chattanooga on Saturday. But I know for a fact that Alabama is going to be practicing against Auburn for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, they are. And if you say they're not, you're lying.
I know.
Yeah. But, Hugh Freeze, and this is the other thing that's annoying. Yeah, he had better players, and he's only been at Auburn. This is his first year. But Hugh Freeze beat Nick Saban and Alabama back-to-back at Ole Miss.
That's true.
The other element of the Auburn game, when you add the haunted mansion, add all the booby traps, the bullshit, the black magic, the voodoo, whatever, you add all that in, and then you throw in Hugh Freeze, then that's what makes me worried. Alabama is clearly the better team on the field, on paper, the whole deal. But there's just always something about that stupid game down in Jordan-Hare. Was it Robert talking about need to go put an ass whipping on them because we hadn't done it there in a while?
Yeah.
Well, remember Derrick Henry in Alabama in 15?
I was there.
Yeah, and even that wasn't like
it wasn't.
The fourth quarter is when Alabama kind of pulled away.
Have you ever met Ben? Have you ever met a guy named Ben George? You know him?
I know the guy.
I was with him at the game, and he had his hands in his head.
Yeah. Well, it's a miserable game.
Like that in his lap, like hands over his head, like halftime, like we're not coming back. And so as a reward, when we did come back, because I knew we were going to win that, I gave him the Daniel Moore print from the game.
Look at you.
A good friend.
Well,
what a great buddy.
You're all class.
He got the tickets, I think. I think he got the tickets. You were probably busy.
I was busy sitting at home. I haven't been to Jordan. The last time I was at Jordan Hare was 2011, and that was the last ass kicking. That was a 42-14 beatdown against Auburn. That was Chiswick. Chiswick, yeah, that was Chiswick after the national championship year.
Well, the thing that happens is it's like a lot of times, and Auburn actually is playing better football right now, but a lot of times it's like we catch them at home when they're really bad and on the road when they're good, you know? And so I don't know. They got blown out by LSU and Hughes questioned those guys, and they're beating Arkansas right now 21-3.
Yeah.
But I don't even know what that means. I mean, Arkansas 3-6. That'll be close at the end.
Auburn, the Iron Bowl this year is what we always fear. You just can't let them hang around.
Yeah, right.
That's the key. Like if Alabama comes out like they did today and they just punch them in the mouth and take the opening drive 6 minutes down the field, go up 7-0, give them the elixir, you're in good shape. But if you let Auburn, and this is what happened in 2021. Remember, TJ freaking Finley was the quarterback. Okay. Nobody scored, I don't think, until the second half. And it took Bryce Young being a magician on the final drive of regulation to go to 4 overtimes to win that game. That was a terrible team. Alabama should have won that game by 14. And they didn't. But that was because they let Auburn just hang around. And then you had, if you remember, Jamison Williams got ejected in the first half for targeting.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible.
On a punt. So those are the, like I said, just the stupid, weird, off-the-wall BS type things that happen down there. And you just can't let that crowd hang around. That's the problem.
I agree with you on that. Well, I think we have about said it all. An hour and 16 minutes. I know that most people want to get back to watching football. Let's talk about the game tonight, though. Ole Miss against Georgia. I don't think Ole Miss has a chance to win the football game, but if they do, it's really going to change a lot of things in the SEC because it takes away that big mountain that Alabama has the opportunity to climb at the end of the season, and it changes a lot there. I just don't think Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's not going to go in there, but they're going to get beat up at the line of scrimmage and lose, right?
I would think so. It'll be really interesting. 2 quick updates since we're talking about that game as well. Utah just scored to go back ahead 21-17 on Washington, so that's something to watch. Miami is on the doorstep, so if they punch it in here, it'll be 10-7 Florida State near halftime. But I'm with you. I think Georgia's that team. If you watched Michigan play Penn State this morning, Michigan, we knew they were probably good, but their schedule was no better than county highs so far to this point. And so it was more that we think you're that good. I don't have a reason to not believe you're that good, but I want to see you be that good.
Right.
And they were, and they just shut down Penn State. And it was another typical James Franklin BS loss for him.
Right.
If that was Penn State, by the way, I'd look at getting rid of that guy. But
who are you going to get, though? I mean,
I know. It's just annoying because they're always going to be at best 3rd in the Big Ten East, and that's what's like so annoying. But I look at the Ole Miss game tonight. Georgia does kind of what Michigan does. Like when there's a game to get up for, it just seems like they flip a switch, they turn it on.
Right.
They let Missouri hang around in the first 2.5 quarters last week.
Right.
They did the same with South Carolina early in the season and then blew them out second half. They smoked Kentucky the whole time. I just think it's a game at night. Lane doesn't win the big ones. Touchdown Miami. Lane doesn't win the big games. So I just think it's going to be one of those typical Georgia type matchups where they kind of win comfortably. I see it like a 38-17 kind of game tonight.
Awesome. Well, we'll find out. We'll get back together tomorrow for our Sunday rollback. We'll take a look at this and, and kind of and look ahead. We'll kind of have at least on Sunday, we'll know with 2 weeks left how things look. Maybe there's an upset in there, maybe there's not. It's like, could we go another week with all of those unbeaten teams?
History says we can't. But it just, I don't know. It's a weird year, man. I look at everybody's schedule, and it's what we talked about last night. Kirk Herbstreit said it this morning about Texas. They play at TCU tonight. Then they play, I think it's maybe Iowa State and then Texas Tech to end the year. Their odds of winning are 77% or higher on every game.
Wow.
And he just said, you should be able to sleepwalk to the Big 12 title, and then that's your playoff game.
Right.
But he said every year, unless your name is Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State or something, like teams can't handle that and they slip somewhere.
Right.
And that's what we're all doing, is waiting on somebody to slip. And I don't know if that's going to be Florida State. Is it going to be Washington? Is it going to be no one? That's what's so weird, though, is we're getting so late in the year and no one's really slipped yet.
Right.
So that's the weird part. I mean, there's only 3 more weeks to slip.
I know. Talking sports with Red, Roll Tide. Team is coming together at the perfect time. I agree with that. And this is exciting. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being here on the postgame show. For those of you that called in, we appreciate it. Great to hear from Coach Saban. Not sure exactly what happened out there with the internet connection, but it was their internet connection, thank God. So that was a good thing. And right. You and I will be back tomorrow. And so if you're not already, please become part of the channel, like and subscribe. Final score today. Let me put it up one more time just to put it up there. Right. 49-21. Alabama going back to the SEC championship game in Atlanta. We'll talk to you guys again tomorrow. Until then, Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.